Hi, I'm Brendan O'Donnell. If you've been on the internet for more than 5 minutes, chances are that you've probably seen a video or you've read some kind of story about a hack, how somebody has found a way to take easy street to get what they want. Well, usually those hacks from the internet don't work, or they're so common sense that people are doing them anyway by themselves without seeing the video or reading the story about it. But what if I told you that there might be a hack where gas companies could get around ever paying royalties? For our lease, let's borrow the royalty language in the Chambers versus Chesapeake Appalachia case in the United States District Court for the Middle District of Pennsylvania from a few years ago. There, the dispute centered on a royalty clause that stated the following: that the lessee must pay to the lessor as royalty for the oil, gas, and/or coal bed methane gas marketed and used off the premises and produced from each well thereon, the sum of 1/8 of the price paid per 1,000 cubic feet of such oil, gas, and/or coal bed methane gas so marketed and used. And we'll assume that the gas company has drilled a well under this lease, and that well is located on the property, and they've put a co-located cryptocurrency mining operation on the property as well. The gas company starts producing gas from the well, it goes to a generator, and the generator powers the cryptocurrency mining operation that's right there. You would expect that royalties for the value of the gas consumed by the cryptocurrency mining operation would be paid in royalties, right? Perhaps not. In the lease here, the royalty only applies to gas marketed and used off the premises. The cryptocurrency mining operation in our example is on the actual leasehold. So, it's possible that no royalty is due because the gas is not marketed and used off the premises. That doesn't sound right, does it? Perhaps not. But in the Gates versus Exco case from 2010, the United States District Court for the Western District of Pennsylvania determined that no royalty was due on gas consumed by a compressor facility on a property because the royalty clause only applied to gas that was marketed and used off the premises. So, is this the hack? Is this how gas companies get around paying royalties? They could co-locate data centers or cryptocurrency mining operations on well pads, feed the gas into those operations, and never pay any of the value of the gas that was consumed there? Probably not. But it revives an issue that we've written a lot about: Pennsylvania's Guaranteed Minimum Royalty Act, the GMRA. Enacted in the late 1970s, the GMRA states that a lease or other such agreement conveying the right to remove or recover oil, natural gas, or gas of any other designation from lessor to lessee shall not be valid if such lease does not guarantee the lessor at least 1/8 royalty of all oil, natural gas, or gas of other designations removed or recovered from the subject real property. That's powerful language. A lease is invalid if it does not satisfy the GMRA. The statute's not an insurance policy that changes lease language to comply. If a lease does not comply with the GMRA, it's not valid. So, what does that mean? Well, since the 1/8 royalty requirement applies to all of the oil and gas, the real focus is the phrase removed or recovered from the subject property. Where is that? Well, in Kilmer versus Alexco Land Services, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court held that the GMRA should be read to permit the calculation of royalties at the wellhead as provided by the netback method in the lease. If the wellhead, which is where the oil and gas come out of the ground, is the point of GMRA compliance, then royalties under the statute would be due on all of the volumes that come out of the ground, regardless of what happens to them, regardless if they go in the pipeline or they're consumed on property in a co-located data center or cryptocurrency mining operation. They would all be subject to the GMRA's minimum 1/8 royalty obligation. But what about the lease here? It's not that broad. That creates a conflict between the lease and the GMRA. In that instance, we believe that the statute should control. But it certainly could create a mess given the different royalty language in many different oil and gas leases. But perhaps it's time for the General Assembly to weigh in and to protect royalty owners from the possibility of this hack resulting in no royalties being paid for oil and gas that's produced but never leaves the property.